Hi, so as a way of just checking in, um, what do you guys, what does anybody need, right, to kind of be here? Anything you want to ask for, get off your chest, let us know, share, whatever. Like, just get on with it, man. You know, it's funny because one of the things that we agreed to in the working agreements really has come to greater prominence than I expected, which is the kind of clarity about what to expect in the class, right? Because so much is up in the air. It's like, okay, let's get this down anyways. So let's go back to what we're going to do tonight. Here's our agenda. Our warm-up, we just talked about briefly. Oops, here we go. Somebody new is here. Who's here? Hi, you guys. Welcome. So we just started to check in with what anybody needs, but it was very quiet. We'll go over our working agreements very quickly in a minute. And we're going to do this class really, and there's going to be two bits to the class. Two main activities. One is the curriculum map analysis. That's something we'll do here in class, okay? And that will be that whole assignment for you. We'll be doing that right here, okay? And then your bigger project, as we said last time, we'll kick that off, the group briefing project, okay? So we'll get started on it, and then we'll talk about how we can work that going forward, okay? Oops. And preview and closing, I clearly didn't edit that. Shouldn't say anything about green marketing. We'll just look at what's coming up. Okay, and I have a quick closing activity for you. Okay. There's a note from somebody in the chat. Let me get that. Oh, Eunice is running late. Okay, thanks, Selena. All right. So our working agreements. Anybody think they can name them? You're going to have to unmute yourselves for this. So please unmute yourselves.
What happens here, like, stays here?
What happens here stays here. That's a good one.
Step back and step in.
Step back, step up.
Oh, step up.
Sometimes I have it, but you know, that happens.
Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
Hands-on work.
Hands-on work. Hands-on work, step up, step back. What we say here stays here. Posting things in a timely way. Take care of yourself, getting feedback on the work, active discussion, and PowerPoints as notes, okay? Speaking of that last one, you may want to go to Blackboard and get tonight's PowerPoint, what I'm showing you right now, if you don't already have it, because you may want it open in a separate window during our during the project work, during the small group work, okay? All right, so jumping right in. What we're going to do tonight is to apply the curriculum map, apply what we learned especially in the article on math from Gutierrez, Beyond the Achievement Gap, okay, to trying to see how, as I wrote to you earlier, where are there opportunities to make Hackensack's math teaching relevant for now, okay? That map they wrote, of course, nobody anticipated a global pandemic when they wrote it, right? And a lot of what's going on in schools these days, and a lot of the kind of the wrestling that's going on, and the discomfort that folks are feeling, is a lot about having schools work get done at home, right? So it's homework, but it's really schools work being done at home, right? And so what we're going to start to, just as an experiment, as a way of applying what you've been learning, is to start from the proposition that if schools are here to nurture the intellectual life of our kids, right? That's not the same thing necessarily as this one-way direction of here's what's important, school says, and then kids just and families now do, right? Let's think about how we can again nurture the intellectual life of our kids with the circumstances they're actually in. So that kind of overarching theme is gonna go between the analysis that you all do tonight, and then the project you're gonna do starting tonight, and then we'll finish up in a later class, okay? It's a kind of a nice lens through which to dive into understanding how the curriculum was put together and how it could be, how we could help our teachers become even smarter about the curriculum that they're working with, okay? So just by way of review, right? You remember that Gutierrez talks about these sort of 4 lenses for equity in terms of math: access, achievement, identity, and power, okay? If you have it handy, you might want to have it around as you work in your small groups. But this slide that you're looking at right now might be a handy one for you to have available to you in your small groups. So that was why I was suggesting you might want to go to Blackboard. I'll give you time to do that in a second because it's going to take me a minute to set up the small groups, okay? But access might be a way of thinking, as you read through the curriculum map that I'm going to assign to you, okay, what resources might be available to students to participate in math during COVID-19 world, right? We've heard a lot about that in terms of digital access or not, or if they don't have digital access, then what's actually going on in their world that might be relevant mathematically, right? In terms of achievement, so she talks about thinking of achievement well beyond test scores. Now that New Jersey and other states have thrown out standardized testing for this year, right? It's kind of an interesting opportunity to think about achievement differently. So where could teachers in that curriculum map find opportunities for students to know and to feel that they've achieved something meaningful, right? If we're still math teachers, how might we help kids to feel, oh, you know, this was worth my time. I learned something. That was kind of cool, right? In terms of identity, you may be familiar with the frame of multicultural responsiveness when it comes to curriculum, which is the idea of mirrors and windows, right? A mirror in the curriculum is an opportunity to see myself, to see my own culture reflected there. The window is the opportunity to see out, see other aspects of the world, right? Other cultures, the wider world. So a culturally responsive curriculum has both opportunities, right? And has those for all kids, right? So kids in the whitest of white suburbs, right, should have both. Kids in the most diverse neighborhoods of our communities should also have both, should have all those things, right? So where in the curriculum that you're going to be given could you find that? Okay. And then finally, power, right? The opportunity to use math as a critique, right? So how could math be used to critique COVID-19 world, in quotes, from a kid's perspective, right? That's if these questions sound a little vague to you, that's a little bit on purpose. Okay, that's a little bit on purpose, right? You're going to have the opportunity here to explore and see just where could I find opening for that, right? If this feels a little frustrating to you, that's also a little bit on purpose on my part. Okay. If you had a chance to look at that thing that I sent to you before about project-based learning, you'll understand this is all a little bit on purpose, right? We'll take a look at that a little bit later if you didn't get a chance to look at it. But the idea that a teacher should package everything in a nice bow and hand it off is not what we think is the best pedagogy anymore, right? It wouldn't be for you all as graduate students. It isn't for elementary, middle, and high school kids either. Okay, so those are the kind of the four lenses I'm going to ask you to try to interrogate the curriculum I send you to, right, in order to do this. So moving on. We're going to have 3 groups, okay? Group 1 is going to look at 8th grade math. Okay. Group 2 is going to look at 9th grade math. And group 3 is going to look at 5th grade math. Now, these are all the Hackensack curricula. So I'm going to send you this link right now. Now, you're going to need to copy it and paste it into your browser because this is one of the new security things that Zoom is doing, where I can't send you live links anymore because that was one of the ways that people were Zoom bombing, right? And we were getting like porn and all kinds of racist stuff. By the way, I don't know if I shared this with you last time. I was actually in a Zoom bombed session. Did I tell you guys this? It was weird, actually. It was a meeting of leaders on how do you lead through the crisis, right? And it was organized by some colleagues of mine down in Georgia. And particularly the social emotional side, not only to being a learner, or being a leader, but helping our colleagues in our schools through it. And this guy drops in and starts cursing out the moderator, and it was bizarre. They got rid of him pretty quick. But has anybody been in a Zoom bomb thing besides me? No? Yeah, it was weird. It was very
well, at Science Park, well, in Newark in general, we're not allowed to use Zoom anymore. I don't know what other school districts are doing, but I mean, there were about 4 different science teachers that, middle of their session, porn all over the place.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's well, I know the New York City schools have just shut it down. I think for that reason. It's a curious decision, right? It's an interesting decision to me. I still don't quite know what I think about it. But that being said, I think it also is kind of an interesting opportunity to think through this stuff. So if you're going to be thinking about access, achievement, identity, and power going into those curricula, right? Those are the things I want you to focus on, and just see where are there opportunities for teachers to think about that differently, right? Your job is not to design lessons for them. Your job right now is to understand, okay, we have this curriculum map. Thinking about it in the current moment, if we think about the big ideas that kids were supposed to learn, where does any given curriculum give us opportunities for these things? It's a simple lens. It's kind of a reading and thinking together. Okay? So I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to cut and paste. So despite my fears, I have been recording this all the way along. I thought I had lost it. But a little Zoom note for you guys. when you go to the breakout rooms, you lose the recording controls. And if you go to watch, if you go to watch the video when it's ready, the recording is from my point of view. So if I jumped to a room, you'll see me going into that room, right? You won't see the other rooms happening. So I'm going to just give you again the basic outlines of this project, and then we'll talk about what to expect for the next few weeks, okay? So problem-based learning, right? Your goal here is going to be to design professional development for teachers that encourages them to create lessons that are worth their kids' time, right? That are relevant to the situation they're living in, and are tied back to that curriculum that you have. Right? Just tie it back to that one sheet, right? Because the reason for that is, you know, teachers are living in a pretty top-down authority in their district structures. They're not going to just jump right out and create something that they think has no justification in the curriculum map for their district. They might think it's a nice idea. They might think it's cool. But unless it's tied back to something real and something already approved, they are not going to do it, especially not given how tenuous everybody's employment situation is right now, right? Nobody's going to step out and take that kind of risk. So part of our role here as learning to be good leaders in our schools, and again, just to remind you, you're taking this course in the context of a leadership program, right? Is to help people think creatively within the constraints that they have. And honestly, as psychologists, that's not a bad way to think. Because if you want to start thinking about how else can kids meet the essential goals that you have for your curriculum, instead of just sort of reading from the daily lesson plans that were already there, think more creatively around how they can do that. Okay, so that's the basic outlines of this assignment. I think the next thing here is just a closing activity, and then we'll get into the preview of what's coming up. Okay, so see this cartoon? Can you see that well? Okay, what's it about?
Italy.
Well, it's a present day cartoon, right? It's commenting on our current situation. I'm going to unmute you all so I can hear you.
Do we just talk?
Let's talk.
Okay. I was thinking it's like the stratification of society. Like the people who have more money are at the top floors. There's a guy with 3 violins, and the family across the building is kids watching Peppa Pig. And then below that, I think that person sick? And then the woman outside is taking a selfie, and then there's somebody like live streaming from their laptop, and then below that there's an older woman, and then like a cramped house, a cramped apartment. There's like 1, 2, 3, like 5 kids and a single mom, and then way below that it's the workers. Like I don't know if those 2 people at the bottom are dead or what. If like
They're at least ill, right? Yep.
yeah.
And you got everybody else is doing the work. So the question for you is, and we're not going to explore this now because we're at 10 of 8, but when you get to that Castro article, right, this is sort of a perfect sort of social studies, social science activity within what Castro is talking about. So if you would like to pull that article back, that chapter back to something that's tangible, this is that kind of thing right there, okay? So moving on to what we've got coming up, okay? Next week, you're going to be reading about music and phys ed, okay? And I'll set up another flip grid for y'all, okay? When we come back on the 27th or for that week, we're going to spend that whole session as a work session for you guys that we just got kicked off tonight, okay? So that whole time, you can work on this thing. Now, there's no reading assigned for that week, so you all could meet as a group. You have the ability through Blackboard to set up Zoom meetings with each other, okay? You can do that. You could go out and get resources that you think would be helpful to you, whatever. I'm letting you loose on this one, okay? One of the things that we will do also on the 27th is, because I've got to revise the rubric, right? This is a group assignment now, and it's changed from when it was originally conceived. I will go over with you some of the expectations from the rubric so you see what those are. And I will share with you a sample of what's been done in the past, and we'll sort of evaluate that together. So that's what's going to happen next week, is you'll do the planning, and we'll go over how it'll be graded. And then when we come back for our very final class, pardon me, you'll actually make your presentations. There will be 3 of them, and that gives you 20 to 30 minutes, okay? While one group is presenting, the rest of us are going to be the audience, and we will be the 5th grade or the 8th grade or the 9th grade teachers, okay? So, you know, you can engage us, you can get us interactive, all that kind of stuff. I will get even better with my Zoom skills so that I can, if needs be, I can share with you the hosting capability so that you can send us into groups or do whatever you want to do with us, okay? Share screens, all that kind of good stuff. You can use whatever materials you want in that final project. You can use PowerPoint, you can use Keynote, you can use that thing I showed you tonight, Satori, Voice, anything you want, Google Slides, the whole world is open to you, okay? Or nothing, right? Or nothing. Those are just tools. If they're useful to you, you go ahead and use them. You will, like I said, you'll have an hour and a half out of the 2 hours next week, okay, to work together. That may not be enough time, okay? I will leave that to you. I'm trying to keep the bulk of it here, and I don't want you to be doing extra homework you don't have to do in this time. But you can see we've got 4 weeks till this thing is totally due. So somewhere in there, I think, you know, you may need to find a little bit of time, but I'm pretty confident you'll have enough time to get this together without too much stress, okay? Any questions about all that before we're done for the evening?
Oh, you can go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Just to be clear, the curriculum mapping analysis, that's like done for today, right?
Done. I'll be getting
Okay.
it up.
Okay, cool.
Not tonight and not tomorrow, but on Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, I was just kind of asking, so like today was supposed to be like the briefing, and then the last one was supposed to be analysis. So in the end, the whole thing is just going to be like the mapping part.
Analysis is done. Did that tonight. When I popped around and heard your earlier discussions in the first half of the class tonight, that was it.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah, thank you.
And this assignment is the briefing assignment. Okay. Just again, a little peek behind the curtain for you guys. This is one of the key tasks for the whole program, the Ed Leadership program, right? So it's important for me to come up with a good rubric that really works for you, and so that I can understand how well I'm teaching this, okay? Because I'm always looking to improve the course and the program, right? So if you have a tangible product like a slideshow or I will record sections of the video and be able to save those as artifacts. All of that stuff will help. But I'll figure out those technical details between now and our next class. You don't need to worry about that stuff. Okay?
Okay.
Great to see you again. I miss seeing you week to week. I'm glad you're all doing okay and hanging in there. If anybody's got any, if anything comes up, obviously times are tenuous, right? Please reach out. Let me know. I can be flexible. We can make this work. Okay? All right. Good night, everybody.